I mean, they came from the top down. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
You have no idea where it went?
No, like, I don't know. I'm just here, like, working. Like, I don't know what happened. They don't tell me if it comes from management. Like, I don't know.
Thank you for calling Dave & Buster's. If you are looking for the balance of your power card...
So you don't have the clearance? No, I don't have the clearance, so this... Okay.
You don't know about, like, the structure here. Like, they do not want you to win this game.
Dave & Buster's headquarters, how may I direct your call?
Hi, I'm calling with a question about a game that has disappeared from a couple of the Dave & Buster's locations.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. If you need help, hang up and...
From This American Life and YBT Studios, Los Angeles, this is Yeah But Still. One story told occasionally between podcasts week by week. I'm Jack Wagner. Welcome to a very special edition of Yeah But Still. This is Jack. I'm coming to you this week alone without Brandon. And I'm talking to you about something very important to me. Something that actually a lot of people have been asking for us to talk about on the podcast. I've been holding out for a long time because it's really something that I don't want to talk about in front of Brandon. There's a lot of careful planning that's gone into this, and as much as we're close to each other, I don't, it's not really trust. It's more just like, does he need to know really the behind the curtains of this? And what I'm talking about is something I've called the Calamari algorithm. It's something that I developed and have been working on for years at this point. And I know a lot of you may not know what this is. So I'll do a little catching up and explanation. But for those of you who have been following my work on the Calamari algorithm, this is an update, and an update a lot of you guys have been waiting for. So welcome to the show. I think it's probably best for me to just start at the beginning. I came up with the idea for the Calamari algorithm after spending a good amount of time at Dave & Buster's. Dave & Buster's is a family-friendly location for games, food, festive drinks, and good times. And I was spending a lot of time there, specifically on Wednesdays, where there are half-off games and half-off drinks and also some appetizers. One thing I was eating a lot at the time was calamari, which is a dish that it's kind of surprising that Dave & Buster's serves this dish. And also it is pretty cheap. Another thing that I noticed was that there is an option in the fine print of the special menu that you can actually order these appetizers with tickets that you win in game. Now, it's a pretty interesting thing, right? You know, usually games, you could win. The best prize is like a guitar, and it will cost an insane amount of money to win this guitar, or like you could win a PlayStation game, but you would have to spend like $300 in tokens to get it. But the appetizers were only 1,000 tickets, which isn't much. So this was a pivotal moment for me. This is my brain just started reeling. I was seeing numbers flashing in my head, a lot of calculations, and quite frankly, I couldn't wait to get home and just start throwing this up on the chalkboard. Just dusting some chalk off my hands and running some numbers. Basically, the idea I started thinking of is, could it be cheaper for me to win these appetizers? And if so, how many of these appetizers could I win with a game card? Because there are a few games I'm pretty good at. Is there a way for me to buy bulk appetizers with tickets and have it be vastly cheaper than using U.S. currency? So that was the first idea. The second idea, which has kind of evolved, would be, if this theory could be proven true, to host some kind of event where I'm inviting a couple of my friends and a bunch of other people to this party that I was going to be calling the Calamari Mixer, to feed this hungry crowd with the appetizers that I win. And of course, they would be very hungry, and I would have to keep winning these games to feed the hungry crowd. I'm already tripping over myself because I haven't quite explained the algorithm itself or the calculations, but I'm also running into so many problems that I've had to face during this. One of those things being simply, how much calamari does Dave & Buster's keep on hand? Could they even keep up with me and feed this crowd? And also, how much calamari would I really want Dave & Buster's to keep on hand? Like, there is a limit, like I don't know if I want to have the knowledge that Dave & Buster's has a giant truckload of calamari. I don't really. It just makes me question the quality of the calamari. But I'm digressing. There's a lot of things like this. A lot of questions. So that's the basics of it. That's the basic idea. So I should get into the calculations now and kind of like explain to you what I worked out. Okay, so do your best to follow me here. For anybody that doesn't know about the calamari algorithm or the mixer, this will be helpful. Okay, math time. This is the calamari algorithm. I'm going to be hiding some features of it just so that it won't be possible for it to be fully replicated, but I'll give you guys the overview. So, first step was for me to calculate what card and what dollar amount of Dave & Buster's tokens would be the most cost effective for me to purchase. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of different price ranges and levels. And on top of that, each time you buy a card, it gives you the offer to supercharge it, which gives you extra tokens for like a certain amount of money. I calculated that the most valuable card is $100. You get 750 chips for that, and that's 13 cents per chip. It's worth pointing out that Dave & Buster's refers to tokens as chips. So that's what I call them. So it's 13 cents per chip. And that's the best dollar value you get. If you buy a $100 card, that's the cheapest amount you're paying per chip. So that was what I started with, right? So that brings me to the most important part. Really the most important part is what game I'm going to be playing for this. I ran calculations on most games at Dave & Buster's to calculate a couple things. One thing is called a GWP percentage. That is game win percentage. That's how often you could win the game. And then secondly is the TPG ratio. This is extremely important. This is a pillar of the calamari algorithm, or anybody that's trying to do anything like this. The TPG ratio. That's tickets per game ratio. I came up with this. This is how many tickets you could expect to be winning from a game. Now, Super Hoopla. This is a game, basically, you control a crane that has a circle, like a ring, and you try to guide it over a few like buckets. You press the button and it drops it down, and if the ring goes over this bucket, you win the amount of tickets that it's like written on the bucket. And I could basically win this thing every time. If I'm feeling bullish, I would calculate my GWP to be 10 out of 10, 100%. Realistically, I would say 9 out of 10. So I would have a 0.9 TPG average, or a GWP average rather. And I'm winning 200 tickets per game. I'm going for the 200 ticket bucket every time. There's a 300 ticket option in one of these games, and some of them rather, but it's harder to get. So I just pretty much go for 200 tickets, and I could pretty much win that every time. So this game has by far the highest TPG ratio and GWP ratio, right? Like, it absolutely crushes every other game. And I calculated it. And once you start thinking in terms of TPG and GWP, it'll change how you view Dave & Buster's. I mean, you should really be thinking about this. You need to calculate how much money you're putting into the machine and how much it's paying out on average. You know, if the game costs 6 chips and you're winning 20 tickets, that's not very good. That's terrible. Now, Super Hoopla normally can be around 5 to 6 chips per play, depending on the location. However, on half-price game nights, it's 2.2 chips. So that thing, I'm talking 200 tickets per 2.2 chips, right? That was my breakthrough. That was a huge breakthrough in this algorithm. So the algorithm itself is very long. It was multiple whiteboards full of numbers and things I even barely understand anymore. I wrote this in kind of a fugue state, and I just kind of came out of it one day, and it was done. But I could kind of walk you through how this is calculated and what I found. So we have our $100 card that gets us 750 chips. I'm assuming that I'm playing on Wednesday, which is half price game nights. That's also the day that the Calamari mixer would take place, hypothetically. So if you do the math there, that would get me 340 plays for those 750 chips. And when you factor in the TPG and GWP and do the math, I could potentially win 68,000 tickets for $100 while playing Super Hoopla. 68,000 tickets, folks. I mean, that's a lot. I could get pretty much most things in the prize section, but that's not really what we're worried about, is it? Let's run the numbers here. Calamari, an order of calamari, which is a big, sizable plate, mind you, costs 1,000 tickets. Do the math. That is 68 orders of calamari I could win with $100. Now, run the numbers there. 68 orders of calamari at $9.95 in US dollars would be $676.60 worth of calamari, which would make it a net profit for me of $576.60. That's insane. This is the big discovery for me, is when I realized this. So everything I thought was correct. I could sit there right now. I'm sorry. I'm sure a lot of people are getting too excited hearing this. Sit there for a second. Imagine what 68 orders of calamari looks like. Consider that, 3 to 4 plates of calamari would take up an entire table. 68 orders of calamari. And that's just with $100, right? Mind you, I don't even know if Dave & Buster's has 68 orders of calamari ready to be cooked. So that's a huge concern. But the fact of the matter is that my calculations were correct, and this is possible. For $100, I could get that much calamari. 68 orders, if you consider that maybe 4 people are sharing a plate of calamari, that could feed 272 people. So I could throw a party for 272 people for $100, and they're eating so much calamari. And mind you, that's really cheap. I would probably invite more than 272 people, because here's the magic of the Calamari mixer for folks. The goal would be that it's a bunch of randoms and they're inviting their friends. The goal of this would be that there's too many people and not enough calamari, so that me and a couple select friends would have to be going out to work in the field and to win more tickets. The goal of this mixer would be that everybody's having fun, but they do get more hungry. So me and my close associates would have to be out there aggressively winning more tickets to feed them with more calamari. An issue with that is that there's only one Super Hoopla game, so we would probably have to be diving into games with a lower TPG ratio. It would be hard. But so this was the dream. The calamari mixer is a dream, and that's the basic math. It's a lot more complicated than that. But here's the thing. I posted about this a few times. I talked about it. I did let some people down with this. A lot of people got really interested in the algorithm and the concept of the mixer. And I get questions still to this day. I think I posted it last year and maybe did a couple updates, but people still ask when it's happening, what's going on. We need an update. And I've had some setbacks. So right away when I had interest, I went into Dave & Buster's to kind of look into it. There's a lot of logistical things. The first questions, first of all, I walked in there and I told them that I'm serious and I need to talk to somebody high up in the ranks there, I eventually got to the right person. I was trying to figure out hey, could I have 200 people come here? Follow-up question, how much calamari do you guys have in the back? Let's say I wanted to order 68 plus orders. Would you be able to fulfill that? And they didn't really have many answers. They gave me a lot of business cards of high-up corporate people. I called them, one thing was that, like, to have that many people at Dave & Buster's, they would recommend that I rent a room, and those are really expensive. So it kind of screws up the algorithm, right? I mean, if I'm paying $1,500 just to hold people, it kind of defeats the purpose of winning all that calamari for $100. But that's not even the worst part. So not long after I posted these videos, I went in there and I noticed that Super Hoopla was gone from Dave & Buster's. I talked to one of the referees. He didn't know why. I talked to another one. He didn't know why either. And I asked them if it had anything to do with the game having a high TPG ratio, and they didn't really want to give me any answers. And I don't know. I just felt like, just like really screwed over by the system. I don't have evidence that they found out about the algorithm or the mixer. I did tell some people that worked there vague intentions, but unless they saw my Instagram videos, like, they wouldn't really know about Super Hoopla. But I've called around and Super Hoopla seems to be gone from most locations, because the second iteration of the algorithm, I went back to it and I was trying to, they've installed new games, and I've been going in there testing the games and calculating their TPG ratio and GWP, and it's just not looking good. I mean, I found a couple that are semi-hopeful, but it's just not even close to Super Hoopla. The other thing I was really hopeful for was, and this honestly might even make it better, quite frankly, is if I found a location somewhat close to where I wanted to throw the mixer in LA, I could have people winning. I could have, like, let's say me and a couple friends were there in advance, even winning the tickets needed for the calamari, to prepare for the mixer at a different location. Or I could have field operatives at another location using a gamer card, playing Super Hoopla at a location where it was available, and I would have a clone of the card in person to be using the tickets that they're purchased. And of course, I would probably have to pay out whoever those gamers were in calamari. So it would take a little chunk out. I would need to pay them something, and then I would also have to teach them everything I know about Super Hoopla. So it would definitely mess things up, but I did think that would be good. I thought that would make up the stakes for the calamari mixer. But so Super Hoopla is gone, as far as I know. And today I tried reaching out to some high-level people at Dave & Buster's, and I didn't really get anywhere. I think they're shutting me out. So you could listen in right now. It's just a disappointing call. We'll see if it goes anywhere.
Dave Buster headquarters, how may I direct your call?
Hi, I'm calling with a question about a game that has disappeared from a couple of the Dave & Buster's locations. I just had a few questions about it.
Okay, which location?
The Hollywood and Vine location specifically.
Okay, let me get you over to Tiffany. One moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tiffany, guest relations representative. My hours are 8 to 4 Central Time.
Hiding from us.
Please leave a detailed message with your name and phone number, and I will call you back as soon as possible.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hello, Tiffany. My name's Jack. I'm calling with some questions regarding the game Super Hoopla. It's very essential to a project I've been working on, and I've noticed it's been disappearing from the locations. I was just wondering if there are any Super Hoopla games in any of the Dave & Buster's locations. If not, I was curious if it had anything to do with the TPG ratio of the game or the GWP. So if you give me a call back just to answer some questions about why these games are disappearing, that would be amazing. My number is... Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you... Right to voicemail. We'll see if she calls back, but I don't have high hopes. I'm familiar with Tiffany. I don't really know what her rank is there in the system, but Super Hoopla, what happened to Super Hoopla isn't right. It's a great game, and they took it from us. So I'm really making this podcast to ask for help too. If you see a Super Hoopla, I would love to know about it. That being said, I don't know if it's going to be able to make the mixer feasible, but you could at least play Super Hoopla, and I would love to know if you find one. Because, where do they go anyway? Like, are they just putting them in a warehouse? Are they selling them? I'm not sure. So, Super Hoopla, if you see one, let me know. Because I really don't have a clear answer on if they've removed these from the entirety of Dave & Buster's or if they just moved it from this store. What they put in its place is insulting. It's like, well, they've moved a couple things around, but they've just been like joke games. I think they put like a Maze Runner game, like an iPhone game turned into an arcade machine. It was disgusting and insulting what they did to Super Hoopla. I won't lament on it anymore. I'm sorry, but yeah. So if you see a Super Hoopla, let me know. But that's the main update. Is that like I really can't do the mixer without that game, because they clearly caught on to my calculations, and every single game at Dave & Buster's now has an absolutely pathetic TPG ratio that would not make the Calamari mixer work or the algorithm. It would be not cost effective to buy that much Calamari. So yeah, my dreams are kind of killed for now, but I'm not giving up. We'll see. Thank you guys for listening. I will give you updates if there are any to give. Let me know. Tweet at me. It's probably the best way to send me a picture or information about Super Hoopla if you have any. If you're a Dave & Buster's employee and can let me know anything on the inside, we could keep this anonymous, But if you hear anything about Super Hoopla, my Twitter handle is at Jack D. Wagner. And send me anything you hear. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed learning about the algorithm. And I'm sorry there isn't, a more exciting update. Hang on. Oh, wow. Hang on, folks. Hello? Hello? Yeah, who is this?
Who am I speaking with?
My name's Jack. Who is this?
What are the calls in regards to?
You called me.
What are the messages to Tiffany in regards to, sir?
Oh, you work with Tiffany.
She's an associate of mine.
You work with Dave. You work at Dave & Buster's?
Tiffany is an associate of mine.
Okay. Yeah, I called her asking some questions about Dave & Buster's. Can you answer questions for me?
Tiffany is an associate of mine. What are your questions, sir?
I was calling her asking about a game called Super Hoopla that disappeared from the Dave & Buster's locations.
It'd be wise for you to move on from Hoopla, sir.
Move on from Hoopla? All I want to know is if there are any left in the Dave & Buster's and where they went.
Nothing is left.
It's definitely it left. The game isn't there anymore. I was just like...
It'd be wise for you to move on from these calls.
Okay, can you please give me your name? What do you do for Dave & Buster's?
The only information I have about Super Hoopla is that you should be leaving it alone.
Okay. It's probably not going to happen. I'm extremely interested in this, so.
Listen, Mr. Wagner, you don't.
How do you
wanna
know
open
my
this
last
up.
name? How do you know my last name?
I'm an associate of Tiffany's.
Okay, yeah, I caught it. All right. You know what?
Let
I
Hoopla
think I'll
go,
just try
buddy.
to get a hold of.
Let Hoopla go for your own good.
I mean, they came from the top down. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
I went through your Calamari algorithm.
You have no idea where it went?
No, like, I don't know. I'm just here.
I've also heard about a lot of drama and backdoor stuff going on there.
Thank you for calling Dave & Buster's. If you are looking for the balance of your power card,
There's a guy that got kicked out of Dave & Buster's, told not to come back because he was doing all sorts of shady stuff.
Dave Buster's headquarters, and I direct your call.
Hi, I'm calling with a question about a game that has disappeared from a couple of the Dave & Buster's locations.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. If you need help, hang up.
From WBEZ Chicago and Yeah But Still, this is the Calamari algorithm. One story told whenever Brandon's out of town and I decide I want to make an actual good episode. This is Jack Wagner. For those of you just joining us, the Calamari algorithm is a project that I have been developing for a very long time. The Calamari algorithm is essentially a math equation that I developed, and it essentially calculates a way that I believe that I could win a large amount of calamari appetizers at Dave & Buster's, playing games and using tickets to purchase this calamari. With only spending a small amount of money, I would essentially be saving north of $500 to get a lot of calamari. The second part of this is the Calamari Mixer. This is a party that is funded using the technology of the Calamari algorithm. The Calamari Mixer is an event that may be held in the future where I invite hundreds of people to be fed calamari that is won instead of purchased. Won with tickets at Dave & Buster's, not bought with legal tender. These will be purchased in tickets. So that's the basis of this. If you haven't heard the first episode, I would highly recommend going back and listening, because otherwise the entire basis of this might seem absurd to you. And I promise you it's not absurd. A lot of time has passed since the last episode. There's been a lot of people reaching out asking me about the Calamari algorithm and what the status is on the mixer. Honestly, I believe in the last episode I said that the status is bad. It's gone from bad to very, very bad. Probably impossible is what I was thinking. Last time the major setback was that the Dave & Buster's near me removed Hoopla, the game that the entire algorithm was based on. I even opened up to the listeners asking anybody if there's a Hoopla or Super Hoopla near them. I only got rumors and no confirmed locations. That's not even the worst. The worst thing is that I recently went to Dave & Buster's and confirmed that calamari is not even on the menu anymore. And I don't think it's coming back. Calamari is not served at Dave & Buster's anymore. So that's just been sinking in for a long time. I still have hopes that like maybe I could pull this off. I don't know. I'm not giving up on it, but they do not serve calamari. So that's kind of a problem. I mean, what's scarier about this really is that I do an Instagram post about the calamari algorithm. I mention Hoopla. A couple weeks later, Hoopla is gone from Dave & Buster's. Questionable. I do a podcast about the Calamari algorithm. I say that Hoopla is gone. I also say that that's not going to stop me. What happens next? The Calamari is removed from the menu entirely. In fact, I think it might be risky for me to even be doing this episode right now. And I didn't even think I was going to be able to do another episode because I just thought there'd be no point. But I was recently re-inspired. I was researching late into the night, just kind of thinking of new ways that this could work, blah, blah, blah. When it suddenly hit me that, certainly there must be some people out there that have like the same level of passion as me. I bet there is even somebody that has a similar algorithm. So I just started searching around to try to find some Dave & Buster's people deep in the community. I just assumed that there was a community for this. And sure enough, way, way deep in some posts, I found somebody that is incredible. I found a guy who not only is incredible at Dave & Buster's and passionate about Dave & Buster's, this man actually is so good at these games that he makes a profit, dollar amount profit. He can win the games so often and so well calculated that he could like sell his prizes and makes a sizable amount of money. It's just like the knowledge that this man has is absolutely insane. So I immediately sent him a message and kind of told him a little bit about the algorithm. I told him that I have a podcast and I would just love to speak with him and get some advice. I literally was just going to see if he had any insider information on Dave & Buster's. Anyway, he hits me back with, like, I'm not kidding, like a 5-page email. And every word of it is amazing. Basically what he does is he tore apart my algorithm. He found my Instagram, he found the videos, he found everything. He said the basis of the algorithm was good. Just essentially, there was a lot of things I didn't know about Dave & Buster's. A lot of tips and tricks that the experts know that I don't. But anyway, I just thought this email was amazing, and I asked him if he'd be willing to speak with me on the podcast about Dave & Buster's and his level of expertise, and he said he was down. So today I bring you the new and first member of my crack team of experts, who may or may not make the Calamari mixer happen one day. His name is Michael. I can't stress it enough how extremely talented this man is at Dave & Buster's. Talented isn't even the right word. Obsessive, that kind of has a negative connotation. That being said, his attention to detail and raw skill and knowledge, I mean, it's just extremely impressive. I don't even know what I could possibly compare it to. He is an advantage player. That's a term used to describe somebody who goes into Dave & Buster's or any arcade specifically to gain an advantage over the arcade. That means they're trying to win prizes by paying less to win the prize than the value of the prize. So spending $20 on tokens to win a $60 video game. And they do that on like a large scale. And that requires a lot of calculations similar to the Calamari algorithm. That being said, there is a lot of secrecy in this community and with what he does. I think you guys have seen what's happened to me throughout this process of just trying to get this Calamari mixer to happen. And he does this every day. So there is a lot of things we couldn't talk about on this podcast. There's a lot of things I've had to remove. So I just hope you understand there is a level of secrecy. He can't give away too much. That being said, we spoke for 2 hours today. There were a lot of twists and turns. You'll see later on in the episode there was a specific big twist. But yeah, I mean, I learned a lot a lot about Dave and Buster's. So anyway, this is my interview with Michael. I hope you enjoy. First of all, what would you like me to call you, by the way?
Mike.
Mike.
Or, well, I mean, yeah, anybody that hears this that knows me is going to know me. Anybody that just hears that Mike isn't going to know me just from that. So we're good on that.
Yeah, I mean, better safe than sorry. Okay, so secondly, I've prefaced the listeners a little bit, but you're an Advantage player. I just want you to say in your own words exactly what level of gaming you're on when it comes to Dave & Buster's, and just kind of give people a sense of that.
Well, an Advantage player is anyone that goes into an arcade that looks to come out with more than what they spend and does it on a consistent basis. As far as how much I win, I can't get into the exact numbers, but I'll tell you it's better than working. It can be anything. I was dealing in iPads for a while. I still do every once in a blue moon. Back in the old day, PSPs were big. iPod Video, iPod Touch, video games, consoles. GoPros were big for a few years, and that kind of died off. It's really basically whatever the hot item is now. If Buster's carries it and it's at a fair rate, we're dealing in it.
See, all the stuff that you're saying right now, let's just say that you're speaking my language, and I'm very confident that you're the right guy I'm supposed to be talking to you about the Calamari algorithm. That being said, when did you actually start gaming?
I was an arcade rat for pretty much most of my life, from middle school on. I started going to Kennywood Park, which is an amusement park right by me. It's near Pittsburgh, and they had a lot of arcade games there. And they had a machine called Spin Doctor, which was basically a skill stop slot machine. And if you got 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, you would get 200 tickets. And I sat and did the math real quick, and I'm like, I can get things for less than they actually cost.
Mm-hmm.
And this was also the first time I had an arcade that basically admitted they couldn't handle me, because I got about 9,000 tickets over the course of $20 or so, and I left to count them to save them the hassle. And I come back and the jackpot's been changed to 50.
Oh, wow.
And I call the manager down and I'm like, what's going on with this? They're like, oh, it was always supposed to be 50. I'm like, yeah,
Typical.
How come the second place prize is 50, you jackass?
Exactly. How old were you then?
So I was 17 then.
Okay, wow. So, I mean, you've been dealing with this kind of thing for a long time.
Well, funny enough, the very next year, Dave & Buster's opened up about 12 minutes from my house, and they had a lot of the same games as Kennywood, except the payouts were actually worth it. And it wasn't just, oh, I'm getting a $30 blender for $30. It's, wow, there's legitimate electronics and stuff here.
See,
so,
yeah. That's incredible. I want to learn a little bit more about that, but I mean, that was for me when I stumbled across you. Here I am working day and night trying to just get Calamari at a discount, and I discovered you are gaming the system in a way that I didn't even think was possible. You're winning the stuff that I thought was there to just tease people, and you're winning at a profit.
Oh, dude, back in the old days before they changed a lot of the games, I would say those iPads, when the first iPad came out, there was a game I was able to knock out about 2 of those in a week.
2 iPads?
In a week, every week for about 7 months.
And how much were you spending to get an iPad approximately?
Like $100.
Wow.
But it's not that good anymore.
Yeah.
That was the best of the best. Now, here's the thing. I went through your Calamari algorithm. I'd like to talk about that for a bit.
Absolutely. Please. No,
okay.
Please.
Okay, so I went through the algorithm, and I saw the basics of what you were saying were right, but some of the math is off.
Okay.
In your original algorithm, you said the best way to get chips is $100 for $750.
Uh-huh.
You're kind of right and kind of not.
Okay.
There are coupons that you can get that are buy $20, get $20.
Yes.
So when you use this coupon, you're paying $20 and you're getting 200 chips. Now, if you take that same $100 you started out with in the beginning and you got 5 of this coupon, that would be 1,000 chips instead of 750. So you get a better rate.
Okay, so that would be $100. Yeah, so that would be 10 cents per chip. Right.
Well, you're also forgetting that if you register your card to the rewards program, for every $100 you spend, you get 48 additional chips.
Okay.
But the other side of this, you mentioned the supercharging.
Yes.
Here's something to consider about that. They are way more friendly with you when you supercharge, and you can supercharge with the coupon. You lose a tiny bit of money here, but here's the thing. The front desk is rated on what percentage of people they get to supercharge. Some stores will say 1 coupon per person per day, no exceptions. Other stores will say 1 coupon per card. They're not so worried if more than one person, or if one person uses more than 1 coupon. Well, let's put this in perspective. Who are they going to let bend the rules a little and use more than 1 coupon? The person that's wants to use multiple coupons without supercharging and throws their metrics right into the garbage, or the person that's going to do like 4, 6, 8 loads, all of which are supercharged?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's like if you're counting cards, you want to be buddied up with the casino.
It's basically if you're counting cards, you tip here and there.
Got to keep and treat them well.
Because think about it, if the dealer has an idea that you're counting, but you're tipping well and at least somewhat often, they're probably going to be a little more hush-hush about it, unless you're just absolutely killing them. Dave & Buster's is the same way. I saw one other thing that interested me in your original Calamari algorithm in your podcast from that, and you talked about Hoopla.
Hoopla, yes. Rest in peace, by the way. Rest in peace.
Yes. They got rid of ours too.
It's very suspicious, if you ask me.
Not as much as you'd think.
Okay.
But funny enough, I did notice something about your Hoopla that's different than mine.
Uh-huh.
Your values were different.
Oh, what was yours?
You had a 200. I'm guessing your value of 200 was on the red one where the prongs were pointed outwards.
Yes.
Ours were only 150.
Oh, okay.
It was 50 on the green, 100 on the yellow, 150 on the red. The thing is, Hoopla is one of those games that the only people that played it were the people that knew how to win. Mm-hmm. You didn't have random people walking up to it and playing and losing. It's kind of like some of the other games that have been changed on us over the years. If everyone's playing it and a bunch of people are happily playing it and losing it, and a couple people that come in and win, then there's not a problem. If nobody random is playing it and the couple people that know how to play it and win and kill it, then there's a problem and they're actually losing money. It sucks that they got rid of Hoopla. I know that was your game, but this is where I give you a piece of advice without getting into specific games, because I have a community of people that will kill me if I get into specific games.
Certainly.
The best bet to survive now as somebody that does this consistently, or even in your case as somebody that just wants to get a bunch of food and feed a bunch of people, which I'm all for, and I want to help you with this. You basically have to become what is known as a jack of all trades.
Okay.
You aren't going to sit on one game and play it and hammer out 100,000 tickets, but you might have one game you can hit for 5,000 tickets before it goes and won't pay anymore. You might have another game that can pay 10,000, another one that might only pay 1,000 or 2,000, but 10 people play it and it's ready to pay out again. So if you learn all of those games, and I'll talk to you, I'll bring those up more privately.
Certainly. Wouldn't want to give that out.
Yeah. I used to give all this out freely. I gave out a guide that said what to play, what not to play. Where the problem came is once too many people started playing the same games, it crossed that line from tolerable loss to Dave & Buster's and other arcades while we're at it, to the point where they're either making no money or they're still in the profit zone, but not enough to justify that game being on the floor compared to something else that just rakes in the cash. They'll work with you to a point, but I had to put the kibosh on that.
Oh, you could blow up your own spot. I mean, I learned that the hard way with even releasing the algorithm. Not only did they take away my cash cow hoopla, Calamari is no longer on the menu at all. So, I mean, I don't know if they've ever gone that far to stop you, but I mean, Calamari, completely not a menu item. And
they got rid of my cheese sticks and they got rid of my pretzel braids, which were also taste for tickets items.
Do they?
Yeah. So
I think the next is that they'll get rid of the taste for ticket program entirely.
that would be scary. That would be sad.
I agree.
I don't think they'll do it, but I don't think they'll ever have as good items as they did on there originally.
I mean, Dave & Buster's has done some unspeakable things in the process of trying to stop this, but removing calamari in general is the big blow to the calamari mixer. I'm not sure if I could make the calamari mixer happen without calamari being on the menu, you know?
You might have to pick another one. There's a couple other really good deals. The Mountain of Nachos, just one of those will feed like 4 people, and that's only 1,000 tickets. The quesadillas are always good. That's 1,000.
The quesadilla mixer could be good. Quesadilla mixer.
Here's another one. Everybody loves pizza, right?
Yeah.
They have that pepperoni pizza pull apart with just pretzel, cheese, and pepperoni on it. That used to be 750 tickets. They raised it to 1,000, but
maybe it could be the pepperoni pizza pull apart party. Pepperoni pizza pull apart party.
I like it. PPPPP. I like it.
Yeah. Or the quesadilla mixer, or what was the other one?
The nachos.
The nachos nightlife. I don't know. I'll work on that one. I'll have to workshop that one a little bit. Or the alternative, if I didn't go the Jack of all trades route, I could calculate with the algorithm. All right, I would have to fly in a team of experts like yourself and other advantage players, cover the cost with flights, assuming that you could win back that dollar amount to cover the flights in iPads. And then, even on top of that, pay you a little and then win the money to buy the calamari, which I might even have to buy from an outside source and ship into Dave & Buster's. I think that would be the only way to pull it off.
We'll talk.
Yeah. I mean, it does get a little complicated, but I feel like it needs to stick to tickets only, you know?
I'll tell you this. If you do it tickets only and do like the pizza party or the nachos or anything like that on tickets, you don't need a team of experts. You just need me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You fly me out somewhere, or you fly here and you bankroll the card, and we'll work out anything else in between. I can get you enough tickets to feed your whole party in one Wednesday guaranteed.
Oh, wow. Wednesday, that's another thing I wanted to confirm. Wednesday, by far the best time to play. Half-price games, right?
Right, but not the best time to load your card.
Okay.
There's a thing there.
That's something I've been suspicious of. Fill me in.
You can't use coupons on Wednesday, but you can use coupons on other days and play those chips on Wednesday. So that gets you to 12.5 cents a chip, but you're playing on Wednesday. One other little tip I can give you, and this isn't a trade secret. Everyone should know this. On every Dave & Buster's, if you load a card with $10 or more, including using a coupon on Tuesday, your first 2 credits that you use that day are free.
Ooh, okay.
So if you happen to be near a Dave & Buster's, especially if you're one where they might let you do more than one coupon, or you have more than one person loading a card, you can load up a bunch of cards. You use those free plays on Tuesday on the more expensive games that you know you can win, and then you come back on Wednesday and play everything.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Just because it's 10 cents a chip doesn't mean that's where the discounts end. What you want to look at is, do you happen to have one of those grocery chains that does discounts off your gas for buying a gift card? You can do that. For my example, we have Giant Eagle around here. I know that's an East Coast thing, but you may have something similar over there. And for every $50 you buy on a gift card, you get 10 cents back per gallon up to 30 gallons. And sometimes they run double, so it's 20 cents. So to put that in perspective,
$3 off the gas right there.
well, here's what you want to look at. Let's say you do $100 just to make this math nice and easy, and they're running the promo. So you get 40 cents off a gallon. You always fill up for the full 30 gallons to get the biggest discount, gas cans if you need to. That's $12. On top of that, they have because it's gas, they have an attached gas station chain. You can buy gift cards there. You have a credit card that gives you 4% back on that across the board. So between the gas discount and the credit card, you're getting back 16 cents of every dollar, and that's on top of getting the chips 10 cents a piece because you're still allowed to use coupons with a gift card.
I mean, that could really even bring down my calamari price, especially yeah. I do have a garage. I could be filling up. I don't know the legality of selling gas used off the market, but I mean, if I sold that on Craigslist, I feel like I could really knock down the calamari price.
Maybe you could, though. You're probably going maybe what you might get a free tank once a month or so, maybe twice a month. You'll use more gas than you'll save, but hey, if you're in a pinch and need a quick buck, there you go.
No, that's you've taken this to a level I didn't even think possible.
So here's something else to look at. The calamari back when it was on the menu was $10. They're giving you a deal on all of the food because their menu price has a built-in 4-to-1 markup. I want this dinner to happen, whether it be calamari, pizza, nachos, whatever. You still got to tip based on the menu price.
I mean, I think I could decide that at the time, I've been treated very unfairly by them, so I think if the service is right, I could tip. But there's a chance, if there's any Dave & Buster's staff listening, Dave & Buster's staff has been pretty unfair to me. In fact, last time I went in there just to get some food, the waiter didn't serve me for 30 minutes, and I had to move to another section to get a different waiter, and it still took a while. I feel like they recognized me.
That's not good.
I know. How many Advantage players do you think, people that you take seriously in the world, how many would there be, if you had to guess?
I would probably say an average of 2 to 3 per store. So maybe there's 200 to 300 people in the Dave & Buster's community that are doing this with a level of seriousness that I would say this is a huge part of their life.
I just realized something too. I mean, we could get into how I've been, mistreated and mishandled by Dave & Buster's. I'm just thinking now, if it came down to it, I feel like all of the Advantage players could unite and put this company out of business in a matter of days if they all coordinated by just they could
not a good idea.
Well, I know it's a little dangerous to say that on air, but it's just hypothetically. I mean, I feel like, it could happen. In theory, happen hypothetically.
Now, I could see that happening to an individual store, like a little local arcade.
Not saying I'm advocating this.
No, not at all. I mean, because you don't want to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. But having said that, it was interesting reading listening to your account of potentially having an arcade work against you, because I have had that happen. I can rattle off a few stories real quick.
Please do tell.
I'm going to put another arcade on blast here. Zone 28 down on Freeport Road. I called them out in the other podcast I did. I'm calling them out here. The way their system was set up, if you earned more than 1,000 tickets without a different card being swiped, it would lock the game up. The manager would have to unlock it.
Oh, wow.
It got to the point where on certain games, even me sliding my card one time and winning a jackpot was enough to lock the machine. So they had to keep coming over and doing that. And after I got my Keurig and left and figure, I'll come back here and play off most of my money that I put on my game cards another day. Within 24 hours, I had a text, Mike, you killed Zone 28. I'm like, what? Oh, they lowered the payout on the one game by 75%, and they made these other games so that you can't win anymore.
No way.
So, but that's only part one of this story.
Okay.
Am I allowed to swear in this piece?
Absolutely.
Okay, then. So I avoided this place forever. I actually had a buddy of mine that still went to this place. So my buddy tells me, you got to go back there. I'm like, why? This place is dead. They have a Nintendo Switch. And this is back when those were like $400.
Yeah.
I already got a couple from Dave & Buster's and sold them off. But I figured, hey, a come up's a come up. And so I knew if I went in there over a period of time, as soon as they saw I was winning, they were going to change the games. So I needed to do this in one shot. I went in on Tuesday because I had some vacation days to burn. And I did a recon mission. I didn't let anyone know I was there. I made sure nobody saw me. I go in there and I test the games that I've been told were on the easy settings. And they were exactly what I was told they were. And I got 9,000 points just screwing around. But I come back on Wednesday and I know I'm gonna get 100,000 points and get the Switch or bust. And I have 2 cards loaded up so I can switch back and forth so that the machine would never lock up, so that I wouldn't alert them to the fact that I was hitting them that hard.
Yeah.
I'm back and forth, 2 or 3 different games. There's one game that's like one of those prize arm games. So I'm going all between these 3 games. I'm up to about 72,000 tickets. I go and I take a phone call outside. I come back in and I see a bunch of the game swipers are disabled, and they happen to be mostly the games that I was playing. So I'm like, I wonder if they did anything, if they took a look at anything. Oh, they took a look at something, all right. In the time that I was outside, they opened up the prize arm game. They took out the 1,000 and the 750 pucks and made it so the biggest one in there was 500. They didn't wait for me to set foot off the property before they went to change the game.
Jesus.
Well, as it was, they brought all the games back up, including the other 2 that I was hitting. I knocked out my other 28,000 points. And I was steaming. I was mad. I wanted to call somebody out on this. I cashed out. I got the Switch in the bundle. The manager straight out asked me how much money I put in, and I told him $170, and he visibly winced. So I sold off my other Switches, but I kept that one, and I still have it to this day. It's my personal little fuck you to them for changing the settings without even me being off the property.
Yeah. Oh, there's the swear. I was wondering when the swear was going to come, too, by the way.
Greg, technician and manager of Zone 28, if you are hearing this, stop sweating the small money. You had the biggest known advantage player in fucking Pennsylvania come and take you as hard as he could. You're not hurting because one person comes in once in a great while and runs you through the ringer.
I'll back that up too. Greg is his name?
Greg,
fuck you from the Yeah But Still podcast as well. And also, Greg, we've talked before. You don't really want to see what would happen if all of us gamers rose up and came at your arcade, because we could gut you like a fish and take all those prizes.
No,
hypothetically. This is a comedy
just,
podcast, so this is anything I say is not legally binding. It's considered spoof satire.
They'll just change it and make it so nothing's worth winning, and then no one will go there anymore. They'll cut their nose to spite their own face.
I mean, you should see what my Dave & Buster's looks like now. I mean, it's absolutely gutted what they did at that place. There's not a single game in there that you could get a decent amount of tickets from. But I mean, side note, my location is Hollywood, California. I would say that this is the ultimate glitz and glam VIP Dave & Buster's experience. So you should definitely come play there. A common experience would be, you could be playing the 2-minute drill next to Apple D App from the Black Eyed Peas. This is something that's happened to me. This is a common occurrence. It's just a whole different world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I've also heard about a lot of drama and backdoor stuff going on there.
Really?
There's at least one location in California, I'm not sure if it was yours or not, but where the managers are winning tickets where they shouldn't be able to redeem for anything themselves.
Wow, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and it's specifically a California thing. I've heard a lot of stuff going on there. I'm actually on pretty good terms with their senior VP, and a couple
wow.
other people. So we've actually sat down and he's picked my brain over lunch. He wanted help with some things here and there, and I think he was worried about exactly what we were talking about in California, plus a little bit beyond that. And I gave him some ideas, and maybe some of them worked, maybe some of them didn't.
Wait, when
It's
did you
probably-
meet with him? Because, I mean, that problem you're talking about, I mean, it kind of sounds like you guys might have been meeting about somebody in California that might be planning a calamari party, you know?
Oh, it was years ago, like at least 5 to 7 years ago.
Okay, wow, you had me a little suspicious there for a sec. How careful should I be with revealing too much about the algorithm? I feel like I could mess things up for myself. Maybe I already have.
I'll give you a perfect example, and you might get a laugh out of this, and anybody that knows me knows exactly who I'm talking about. There's a guy that got kicked out of Dave & Buster's, told not to come back about 10 years ago because he was doing all sorts of shady stuff. He was selling coupons out the front door. He was getting bricks of tickets that never went through games. He had connections that did stuff that they never should have done. Plus, there was a bit of cheating here and there on top of all that. And they finally got fed up with it and told him, yeah, don't come back. Well, 9 years later, he shows up again, figures, oh, everybody that knows I'm not supposed to be here is gone. Everybody's turned over. Well, one guy was left who happens to be the amusements manager, but fortunately for him and unfortunately for me, decided to give him a second chance to see if he plays by the rules. Unfortunately for me, this means at least 4 or 5 games that I would normally be able to count on for jackpots got rung up by him throughout the week, and I can't count on those anymore. So if one guy coming in can affect me that much, imagine thousands upon thousands of people going and doing this and how that would affect the few people at each store that are already going and doing it.
I feel like that's important to keep a level of secrecy, and why we gotta be secret on this. Probably why I shouldn't have given out Hoopla in the first place in the algorithm.
But Hoopla's gone.
Exactly, right there. I mean, they got rid of it. I mean, we have a lot of listeners. That video had a lot of views. I feel like.
One thing I will say, if any of your listeners do get interested in going to Dave & Buster's and doing this, all I can really ask, be fair with everyone. If you're fair with everybody, usually everyone will be fair with you back.
That sounds like a nice sentiment for Pennsylvania, Dave & Buster's. That being said, Hollywood, I'm hearing this story about that guy, this joker who came and ruined your spot. If he was to come into the Hollywood one and do that with me, I would have ways of dealing with him, you know? And I'm not going to be specific, but I'll just say that outside of the Hollywood location, there are people who dress as Captain Jack Sparrow just to make a few dollars. Imagine what those people would do for $100 in a Dave & Buster's. Who's to say? Who's to say?
I can't say I'd stop you either.
Who's to say? Hypothetical. This is a comedy podcast. Everything I say is not legally binding. So,
I have a feeling you need to say that a lot.
Yeah, you know, sometimes I have a disclaimer, maybe a disclaimer at the end that's very quiet. Hidden track. Hey guys, it's Jack. Just pausing it really quick. So me and Michael spoke about Dave & Buster's for far over an hour. I would say close to 2 hours. I'm not exactly sure the total. He gave me a lot of trade secrets that I couldn't put on the air. We were just talking about how privacy is important when you're an elite gamer. But near the end of the interview, what I thought was the end of the interview, I brought something up to him that took us on a 45-minute tangent of something I really didn't expect. And I think something else might develop from this. Essentially, and I'll let you listen, but essentially, while researching Michael, just trying to find more of his videos, I stumbled across a comment that he left on a website that was related to Pokemon, and it was very angry. He was very upset, and I thought it was funny, so I brought it up to him, thinking it would be a funny joke, just to kind of like check in, see like, hey, what's this, man? We just want to make sure all your Pokemon opinions are kosher before we go into business together. And it ended up taking just such a sharp turn, and unraveling a completely separate story that it really fascinated me. So I'll let you listen here real quick. So another thing, I don't want to surprise you with this, but another thing, I feel like you could be an asset, if not a necessary piece, in possibly making the Calamari algorithm a thing. I need to ask you something that's unrelated. I just want to ask you about it. Just kind of hear what you have to say. I think you might know what's coming. It's a comment that was 3 years ago.
This isn't the thing about is it?
Yes.
Dude, don't.
Really? Why?
Because I just got done burying that.
What was the backstory to this?
I mean, we can talk about me going nutso over Mewtwo and Smash Brothers, but leave the part out of this.
I mean, I liked the comment personally.
Everything else is fine.
I liked it.
I know, but I will take so much shit again. I did then. I had people stalking me on Reddit over this.
Really?
It got ugly. Yeah, I don't see any good of bringing this up again. It will start shit with me.
So this went back and forth for a little bit. I brought this thing up to Michael. It was a comment that he left. Essentially, he was just really angry and upset about a video game, but it was a really well-written comment. I thought he was trolling, being kind of funny. By the way, I know you're probably curious about what he said. It was not racist or anything like that. This is like 100% in the realm of things that me and Brandon would say on this podcast. So I didn't think it'd be weird to bring up. So I brought it up. I thought we would get a good laugh out of it. But we wound up talking for 45 minutes about this subject. I asked him to tell me the backstory and what happened. And it went for 45 minutes and we didn't even finish it. He also really just didn't want to talk about it on the podcast. However, afterwards, we talked a little bit more, and Michael has agreed to speak about it on a second episode. I already have quite a bit of our conversations about it, and I just think it's a really, really fascinating story. It took a very, very, very sharp turn. The interview really ended in a place that was no longer about Dave & Buster's. So anyway, this week I will be bringing you a part 2 of sorts, specifically about this. It'll be a Patreon episode, and I will just do my best to tell the full story and wherever it goes on there. I know people are probably pretty curious right now. Don't even go trying to research or anything. We'll talk about it, but it's not even that wild. I think that's why I am so fascinated by this, because I brought it up in a lighthearted way, and it was really just something that spawned a larger tangent that went very, very far away from Calamari. But anyway, Michael is a super fascinating dude. I've learned so much from him about really how flawed my algorithm is. And I've realized that if there's any hope for the Calamari mixer or the pepperoni pizza pull-apart pretzel party, that's actually 5 Ps, by the way. I was calling it 4 Ps before. But if there's any hope for this dream that I've had for so long, I feel like it's going to take a crack team of experts, and I'm very lucky to have found one today. There's a lot to process for the second part of this, where it took a sharp shift. Like I said, there's a 45-minute conversation that followed, and has nothing to do with Dave & Buster's, but But I'm looking forward to telling that story in part 2. Not really part 2. It's gonna be a whole different thing, but it's gonna be on the Patreon this week. Brandon's out of town, and I have completely taken over. So tune into that if you want. It's patreon.com/yeahbutstill, and thank you for listening to part 2 of the Calamari algorithm.